I got scammed for $1,000 as a brand new Pokemon card business, and it didn't happen the way you think, so let's talk about it. Before we get into how I got scammed, I'd like to introduce myself and provide some background on my business, because as you can imagine, this is not the video that I planned to launch my YouTube channel. What's up guys, I'm Michael. I own Castell Collectibles, which is a 5-figure card business I operate out of my office in sunny South Florida. And this is not how my journey started. It actually dates back to March of 2020, right before cough season when everything shut down and we were all stuck at home. As many of you did, I resorted back to my childhood and sought after nostalgia, and that led me down the path of Yu-Gi-Oh! I started selling vintage Yu-Gi-Oh! Singles directly on Instagram, and I did that on and off for about 4 years. Now, August 2024 is when I decided to kick it up a notch and take my business a little bit more seriously. So I diversified not only what I sold, but where I sold it. We started selling on platforms such as TCG Player and eBay, and we expanded our inventory to include graded cards and sealed products for not only Yu-Gi-Oh, but also Pokemon. I enjoy direct to customer sales. I really like interacting with everybody. I like fulfilling the orders and being very hands-on with my business. So Instagram was a great platform for that, but I always wanted one that I can call my own and cultivate my own true customer base. So naturally, I decided to build and launch my own website, which went live on December 17th, and that is where this story begins. See, even though I had an amazing following and customer base built on Instagram, that doesn't always translate when you start selling on another platform. So the first couple of weeks of the shop was quite slow, and I think I only had about 2 orders. But then on December 30th, I received this order, which was my first Japanese Pokemon order. And I was extremely excited. As you can imagine, I just started carrying this product and now I've already seen my first sale, 5 Terrestrial Festival boxes and a Super Electric Breakers box. I got that package out the door so fast. All I had time to do was record it for content, which you might have seen the videos on TikTok and Instagram, and that was it. Now, fast forward 3 days, on January 2nd, I received this order. This time, it's a different customer, different location, and it's for 6 Terrestrial Festival boxes. Again, I don't think anything of it. I fulfill the order, record my content, send the package on its way, and I'm thinking at this point, wow, like this is really working. We're starting to see some traction. We're starting to develop new customers. Maybe my outreach on social media is working. I've been posting multiple times a day, every single day. So I just think that the work I'm putting in is finally starting to pan out. Now we get to Sunday, January 5th, only 3 days after that second order was placed. And at 11:24 and 11:25 respectively, I received these emails. I've officially been chargebacked for my first 2 orders. As you can imagine, my mind starts pacing and I couldn't do anything but laugh. I'm thinking to myself, is this really happening? Like, I actually just got scammed. Let me explain. See, even though the customer information was different, the first red flag that came up was the fact that the chargebacks were a minute apart. The second red flag is when I went back and I looked at the names, they were almost identical. The first name was Dre and the second name was Frey, and they were both spelled the same way. Call me Dr. Seuss. Who has those names and who spells them that way? Well, even though all the other information was different, I was already suspicious that this was the same person. So I started to delve into their address and phone number and email to see if I could find these people and associate any kind of identity with them. So once I looked up their address, this was the third and final red flag that sealed their fate, because what I found might shock you. Freight shipping companies. If you don't know what this is, it's essentially a US middleman where you can have all of your packages forwarded to these companies. They'll bundle it all up together, one nice big bow, and they can ship it worldwide for you. Now, there are people who use this for legitimate reasons. Typically, it's going to be international buyers who want to save on custom fees. And in this case, I suspect that he's using it to hide his true address. Also, when I looked into his name and his phone number and email provided for both customers, I found very little information. Typically, I can find something that associates one with the other, but there was nothing, almost as if it was completely random numbers on their phone number, completely random names, and it became evident that I had a bunch of false information, and the only thing I can go off of is that he's using these freight shipping companies most likely to conceal his address, because how else is he actually going to get the product that he's scamming me for? What happens next? Now that you know how I got scammed, what's my recourse? What are the actions that I'm taking to combat this? So the first thing I did, naturally, was dispute the claims. This gets done through the scammer's bank, but because I use a host platform, Wix, they make it nice and easy to do this. So I just hit dispute claim, and there is multiple pieces of evidence. So I did my best to collect everything that I had, write a convincing cover letter detailing the turn of events and how this claim is actually a scam versus a real claim, and I sent it their way. Now, a couple of things to note here. The chargeback claim reason was for them not receiving the merchandise. So the first thing I did was check the tracking numbers for both packages, and neither of them were delivered yet. So of course you don't have the package. It's still on its way. So that right there tells me open shut case, right? This guy submitted his chargeback too early, and that was a big mistake on his part. Well, fingers crossed. I screenshotted that. I sent everything over immediately on Sunday before anything could get delivered. So I'm hoping that they see this and they think, okay, well, that was silly, and they just give me my money back. Now, the internet is split on this, 50-50, I would say. There's a lot of people who say they can win their cases, and they do, and there's a lot of people who say it's hopeless. So I don't know what to think of it. I'm just hoping that we have a positive resolution. We've disputed the claim, and we are in contact with Wix to see if we can get any additional support from them. But then something weird happens. Wednesday, the 8th, 2 days after Wix reached out to me and 3 days after the chargebacks, I get this order. Now, you're thinking, hey, Mike, that's a different name. Okay, cool. When I click into it, I get this invoice. This guy came back for thirds. Like, do you honestly think I'm going to fulfill this order, bro? Are you kidding me? I honestly bursted out and laughing, and I was like, this is outrageous. So unfortunately, this caused an even larger headache because now I had to cancel and try and refund his order. And obviously, he's targeting my account. He's just going to keep placing orders with me. So if you go to my website right now, castellcollectibles.com, you're going to see this landing page. I essentially had to temporarily close down my site until this guy gets off my back and I can figure everything out on the back end with Wix and his bank. So the last thing I want to talk about is after he attempted to place a third order with me and I closed down my site, 2 days later, I get yet another email from Wix, this time with a laundry list of things that they want me to provide them, from why did I get a chargeback to what do I sell and how do I procure it, as well as invoices and documentations and other things. I understand where they're coming from because they do need to cover their asses. But I also need help and I also need support. So I sent everything over to them. I reached out to customer care. I'm still waiting to hear back from them. I'm hoping to get somebody on the phone so I can simply tell them everything that happened, and it becomes much more clear and obvious what's going on and that they can support and hopefully help me get my money back. I do want to spend a little bit of time to talk about some red flags and things that you can look out for with these chargeback scammers. So there's two things that can happen with chargeback scammers. One is either fraud, where there is identity theft involved, or the second one is what I'm experiencing, which is a serial chargeback scammer who does this probably for a living in his mother's basement. So if it's fraud, there's two big red flags to look out for. The first one is if the shipping and billing address doesn't match, because of course the scammer is going to replace the shipping address with their own so they can actually receive the product. And the second one is multiple microcharges within a small window of time that can substantially get larger. So that's their way of testing out the cards to make sure the payments go through. So you might see a $5 or $10 charge, a few of those, and then eventually it goes 20, 50, 100, and this could happen within the span of an hour, 2 hours, or even just the same day. Now, if this were to happen, I would simply just cancel all the orders. And the golden rule with these is if you have a gut feeling about something, when in doubt, cancel the order. If it was a legitimate buyer, they're most likely going to email you about it, and then you can resolve the situation from there. Now, if it's a chargeback scammer that like I've experienced, those can be a little bit more tricky because the red flags aren't as glaring. But a big one that I'm no longer going to trust, unfortunately, for people who do use this service are the freight shipping companies. Whenever I look up an address, if it leads to one of those, I'm probably automatically going to cancel the order. And again, if it is someone who is a legitimate buyer, then they can provide me with a reason. I'll give them something for the inconvenience, and we can both be happy knowing that I'm not going to get scammed. Another red flag to look out for is just looking into the information a little bit. Usually with the names, you can just throw them on Facebook, throw them on Instagram, and somebody who looks real will come up. So again, this isn't a black and white answer to scammers because they probably all have social media as well, but it'll help paint a picture of the customer and give you a good feeling about them if they seem like an honest individual. So to wrap everything up, I will be coming out with a part 2, giving you guys an update on how the dispute is going and what kind of support I'm getting from Wix. I'm hoping to have my website up and running in the very near future, and as you can see, we're starting to expand and build more inventory. So for now, you can find me on TCG Player and eBay at Castell Collectibles. You can also go to my Instagram where I can sell things to you directly since I'm no longer using my website temporarily. And this is just going to be the first of many YouTube videos, hopefully more positive. This is still just the beginning for Castell Collectibles. I am not letting this dissuade me in any way, shape, or form, but I'm certainly going to be more cautious moving forward because as hyped as Pokemon is, you're going to see more and more of this kind of activity. Now, my hope in posting this video is to shed some light on this particular scammer and the types of tactics he used to get one over on me. Hopefully this prevents such events happening to you guys. Again, as I said in the beginning, I'm not new to the industry. I'm only new to Pokemon, so I do usually have a good sixth sense about these people and I know what to look out for. But every once in a while, I see something new, and unfortunately, it cost me $1,000 to learn this lesson. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you. Please spread the word about this guy. If you want any of his specific information, I cannot divulge it on YouTube because of certain guidelines, but I'm happy to send it your way if you reach out to me on Instagram or email me. And let's just spread the word. Let's spread positivity. Let's protect each other. That's the kind of community that I want to build here on this platform and with my business. So that's all I got for this video. I hope you guys learned something. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.